It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome back, second hour of the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan. Streaming online at 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. If you guys want to join the show, Full Court Press text line is open, 435-339-0321. Thanks to those of you who are listening, however you may be doing it, live, and all the different ways you can listen to it, or after the fact on our Full Court Press podcast feed, which you can find on 1069thefan.com or wherever you're getting your podcasts. So, wanted to start off this hour talking about big game that happened yesterday. I'm not talking about Utah State volleyball or NFL. Big game, Region 11 team facing off against a what region is Park City in?
I think they're Region 9.
Region 9. Semifinal matchup in the 4A football semifinals. Green Canyon taking on Park City, and Green Canyon gets the big upset win in the quarterfinals over Skyview. And obviously, me and you very impressed by that, winning 36-32. Offense comes alive in that game. Defense hounding Skyview. You wonder, is that a fluke? Are they going to be able to keep it up against Park City, a team that went 11-1, hadn't lost to a 4A team all year? They were dominant. Well, let me let you hear how that game finished up. Just that you're able to hear on 100 Light FM here in Cache Valley. This is what it sounded like at the end of that game.
That's it. The clock has struck 0. Green Canyon has pitched their biggest shutout of the season, 21-0. And they're moving on. Scoring summary for you, it was Wilson DeThane 40 yards down the right sideline to open the game, and then it was Peyton Wilson on a 9-yard run early in the third quarter, followed up by a Peyton Wilson 33-yard pass to Dewey Egan.
So there's your 24-second summary there. Green Canyon 21-0
Shocker.
over Park City.
Park City's out of Region 10.
Oh, Region 10,
Sorry.
Yeah. I was shocked when I saw that because, me and you, we both kind of gave a quick score prediction yesterday. Didn't give a ton of thought to the score prediction. We did preview it in yesterday's show, but in the last second, I was like, I think I said 27-12, and I think you had, I forget exactly what yours was, but
17-12 or something like that.
Yeah, we were both thinking
it'd be a lower scoring affair.
Yeah, we thought it'd be lower scoring, but Park City probably pulls it off, and that's not what happened. When I saw that score, I was like, what? I honestly, if you want to call me a Green Canyon hater, I probably kind of have been the entire year. I was more justified that in region play because it kept losing games in region play, but they've turned it around, and they've proved me wrong. They've proved that they can win these games. They beat Skyview in the most important game of the year, and then the next week, which became the new most important game of the year, they win that one too. So.
Yeah, Park City, very good team. As we talked yesterday, they really only had one loss all year, and that came at the fall break, playing up a division. A team that had been pretty dominant, pretty solid in all the games that they had played. A few games that were kind of close. But that Green Canyon defense, holy cow. And it wasn't just that. As we heard Stockton Jukes in the scoring summary, there were a couple of scores there that Green Canyon was able to hit on some big explosive plays. A 40-yarder in the first quarter, a 30-plus yard touchdown in the fourth, and give a lot of credit to that Green Canyon team, what's their quarterback's name? Now I can't remember. Wilson, is that his last name?
Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson. He took a lot of hits because Park City is an aggressive defense, physical defense, and they knocked him around, and he had to leave the game for a little bit. But, man, kudos to that Green Canyon team gutting it out, making big plays. And, look, there were a couple of times, especially late in the first half, Park City had the ball on the Green Canyon side of the field, and they just couldn't convert. They couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's that, Green Canyon defense that in terms of early on in the season, they were shutting teams out, holding them single digits or 0 points. And they weren't really doing that in region play. It seemed like was the defense losing its potency there. And then they allow 32 points to Skyview in the quarterfinal. And it came back with a vengeance in this game. Just, pitch a shutout in the playoffs in the semifinal. Most teams are only pitching a shutout in the first round when they're facing the really low-seeded team. This Green Canyon, I think Park City was averaging in the 30s, in terms of points per game. They were a high-scoring team.
Yeah.
And they just said, nope, none of that. Goose egg.
Yeah, really impressive performance there by Green Canyon. Coach JT Tauili. Stockton Jukes was able to get down and catch up with him after the game on the field after securing the victory. And this was a team that early in the year, new coach, first time as a head coach, not really from around here. And it was a football program that always felt like it should be a little better than it was, but always kind of fell short of expectations. And so we really didn't know. I mean, the bar was not very high for Green Canyon. Let's just put it that way coming into the season. And my gosh, did they shatter all of those preseason expectations as the season went on and find themselves in the championship game. So excited for that Green Canyon Wolves team and for Coach JT Tauili.
Yeah, very exciting. As you said, Stockton Jukes did get a chance to catch up with the first-year head coach of Green Canyon Wolves.
All right, I'm here down on the field at Rice Eccles Stadium with Coach JT Tauili. You've now led the Wolves to a 10-3 record, their first state championship in program history in your first year as head coach. It's got to feel amazing down here right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think more than anything, just a little shell-shocked. Definitely grateful for the effort from the boys. They played their hearts out. It's just a fantastic group, and I'm so grateful to be here with them.
Obviously, definitely a little bit rattling at the end there with the injury for the Park City player. How are you guys, managing to just keep your heads about you in that end of game scenario?
It's tough. You never want to see anybody go down. It just gave us a chance to kind of talk, collect ourselves. We should be ready to go.
So now you're going to be playing the winner of either Crimson Cliffs or Ridgeline come next Friday. Do you have a preference on who you pull in that matchup, or are you kind of just anything goes at this point?
Anything goes. We're just grateful we did our part to get ourselves there, and we will love every part of the experience.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to see you down there. I guess down here on Friday morning at 11 a.m. Coach, amazing season. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Thank you.
So, yeah, first-year head coach. And first-year head coaches are having a suspicious amount of success lately, with Mountain Crest doing pretty well last year under Coach Visser. JT Tauili absolutely, doing
Travis Cox had great success in his first year.
It's suspicious how well these teams, especially because Mountain Crest, they were kind of down in the dumps a little bit. That down in the dumps is probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but they weren't doing super great as a program at the time. Green Canyon, as you were talking about, we're kind of stuck in mediocrity, and suddenly just bam, Mountain Crest made a run to I think, was it the semis last year? They made it to the semifinal, and I believe it ended up losing.
Yeah, I think that's
there.
true.
And then Green Canyon making it to the championship game so far. We'll see how that goes for them, but yeah, great job by first-year coaches here in Region 11.
So we'll see if there's going to be another Region 11 team in the championship game next week as Ridgeline takes on Crimson Cliffs tonight. And, another really interesting matchup where you've got two teams that have a history of facing each other in the semifinals.
Yeah.
This is the third straight year for Ridgeline and Crimson Cliffs to square off in the semifinals. And it's gone back and forth. So if pattern holds true, it's good news for the Riverhawks.
Yeah, is it Ridgeline's turn? Because they beat them when Ridgeline ended up going on to – they won the state title a few years back, right?
Yes.
Then Crimson Cliffs won it last year. And did Crimson Cliffs win
It was Desert Hills who won the
Desert
state
Hills
title last year, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It wasn't there wasn't a Region 11 team in the finals last year, so I didn't really pay attention to how that finished up. But yeah, we'll see. And yeah, these are two powerhouses. I mean, Ridgeline, they're like the 6th seed, but they're underseeded almost criminally. But mostly it's just because they have to face Skyview, and so they end up losing to them. But two very good teams, a lot of talented players between these two squads, and I don't know if I could really pick between them. It just feels like either one of these teams could come in with the win here. It's just a straight-up pick 'em for me, just like who can win, just with great coaches, great, very consistent programs, making it to the semis or championship game 3 years in a row for both of these squads. Consistent programs, talented players. Should be a heck of a game tonight.
It's a grudge match. Now, Crimson Cliffs, they have been dominant. If you look up the word dominant in the dictionary, there'll be a little horse there in the Crimson Cliffs mascot. They have been averaging just about 47 points a game and giving up only about 11. So outstanding on offense, outstanding on defense. Their only loss was a close loss at Bingham, 26-23. So they've had a great run this year. Ridgeline averaging about 35 points a game, but giving up nearly 22. So Ridgeline, obviously their games have been closer. A lot of those Crimson Cliffs games have been blowouts. And Crimson Cliffs, the great quarterback, Steele Barbin, has thrown for over 3,000 yards, 41 touchdowns. They've got a couple of dynamic wide receivers, very solid running back who's already got over 1,000 yards rushing. So it's a very dynamic offense from Crimson Cliffs, and only allowing about 11 points a game. It's a very stout defense as well.
Yeah, and for Ridgeline, you don't want to get caught in the trap of thinking, we'll just match them on offense, because Ridgeline's got a really good offense, but you don't want to get stuck in that mentality, because then it just becomes an absolute coin flip, and you feel like you don't have any control of the game. And the first slip-up you have on offense ends the game. You need to come out and play some defense. Try and hold down Crimson Cliffs best you can. Because like Bingham, they beat them, they win 26-23. It's not like they shut down Crimson Cliffs' offense, but they held them down, scored enough points to win that game. Yeah. So if Ridgeline's going to win, it's going to be by a similar score. 27-24, 30-28, that kind of thing. There's a world in which they win at 56-52, but if I'm a coach, that is almost a nightmare situation. So like I said, at that point, it's the first mistake from either offense that ends the game. You want to be able to control the game. Not necessarily be like in complete control in the same way in like a blowout game, but be in control, have a handle on the game to where you're always within striking distance or always slightly ahead. Need to have a handle on the game, because otherwise, you end up letting Crimson Cliffs just score and score and score, and that ends up rushing you, and you become prone to mistakes.
Yeah, Ridgeline, 2 losses this year. As we mentioned, one was at Skyview, where we thought going into it, 2 very explosive offenses squaring off. It wasn't a big high-scoring game. It was 23-22. It was a very, not low-scoring, but lower scoring by both teams' standards. Then their only other loss was that fall break week where they went down to Orem. Some guys were hurt. Some guys were held out. They got blown out. Not really indicative of a normal Ridgeline game. But this is a Ridgeline team that has had some key guys get hurt earlier in the year, but they've had some other guys start to get a little bit more healthy and back. So they're hitting on a good rhythm right now. And this coach, Travis Cox, knows how to get a lot out of his guys. So this should be a really entertaining game, I would think. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Ridgeline gets this one just because of how last year went. Last year when they faced them, they lost. 27-13, and Ridgeline wants to show that they're better than that and get one over Crimson Cliffs and be the team in the championship game. That's what this Ridgeline program is all about lately under Travis Cox, is playing deep into the playoffs and wanting to be in the championship.
Yeah, I know Skyview's tended to be kind of that Region 11 dominant team, but Ridgeline is right there in that they expect to be fighting for a championship every year. That is their standards. Other teams,
it's become part of their DNA.
Yeah. There's some teams that you're trying to there's teams that have tried to turn things around, like Mountain Crest and Green Canyon. Their goal was to turn things around this year, but they've suddenly have a much higher goal now. Bear River and Logan, like you're trying to turn things around and just have success. It's different with teams like Ridgeline and Skyview, where it's if you don't make it to the semifinals, it's disappointing, or even if you don't make it to the championship game, it's a disappointment. So
yeah, it's not for Skyview and Ridgeline. It's not just about a certain class. It's a program that they've developed in those communities, and so this is it was unfortunate that Skyview wasn't able to advance like they kind of thought they would be able to this year. But excited to see Green Canyon emerge as a team to do that. And Ridgeline, it's expected that it's not just because there's an expectation that they do that, but there's a talent level and a coaching level that gets them there regularly.
Yeah, and it's a standard they've set for themselves as well. Like the community now expects it. We kind of expect it, but they're expecting it of themselves. And that's where you want it to come from. Expectations from the outside are at best, benign. At worst, they're toxic.
Right.
For the players, when they're setting that standard and fighting toward it, then that's where you can have greatness coming, from a team. Is when you set that expectation yourself and you meet it. We'll see how Ridgeline does. For all the expectations and all the hard work you do, sometimes it's just not enough. But I think Ridgeline has the talent to win this game, and we'll just see if they execute coming up here tonight.
Yeah, and really, this game is really going to be won and lost based on the Ridgeline defense. If they can slow down and limit what Crimson Cliffs wants to do, they're going to give their offense an opportunity to do some things. That Crimson Cliffs offense is dynamic. We've got an 1,100-yard receiver, a 1,000-yard rusher, a couple other wide receivers that have a lot of yards this year. So it's kind of like one of those where you have to pick your poison. You can't necessarily shut them all down, but they have to do their best to limit and slow down this very dynamic Crimson Cliffs team that is used to scoring a lot of points. If they can slow it down and make it kind of ugly, that could frustrate a team that's used to being with pace and finding the end zone multiple times in a quarter. If you can make it ugly, that's going to start to frustrate them and get them out of sync. Ridgeline can do that. They've shown they can do that this season. I don't know that Crimson Cliffs has shown they can do that.
Yeah. Ridgeline going up against Skyview. That was a team that you weren't going to shut them down, but they slowed them down. I know Ridgeline didn't end up winning that game, but Skyview, that was a team that's got, Brian Williams and Carson Thatcher and Brevin Egbert, and they score, 23 points in that game? If you hold Crimson Cliffs to 23 points, it is an incredibly winnable game.
You're going to give yourself a chance to win.
So
yeah.
That's going to be the key to winning tonight, as I said, defense.
So pregame coverage for that game coming up here later this hour on our sister station 104.5 The Ranch in Cache Valley. It'll be Dave Simmons and the Patriot, Nick Zollinger, on the call from Rice Eccles Stadium in the second semifinal game for the 4A football playoffs. Yesterday it was Green Canyon with the win, beating Park City. We'll see if Ridgeline can have the similar success for Region 11 and find themselves in the championship game next Friday at 11 a.m. in Salt Lake.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Full Court Press. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Utah Jazz. The in-season tournament begins for them tonight, taking on Memphis on the road. We'll have that coming up next.
Prodigy Brewing is the perfect place to meet up with family and friends this holiday season. Whether you're sipping on a carefully crafted brew, enjoying a delicious juicy burger, or biting into a sizzling wood fire pizza, Prodigy Brewing is the place to be. Come in for Trivia Tuesdays or with friends and family to celebrate the season. Voted best craft beer and bar and grill in northern Utah. Cheers to making unforgettable memories at Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in downtown Logan. Prodigy Brewing, extraordinary service and family friendly.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center take care of your family medical needs this year. Make sure you call now for an appointment before the end of the year to utilize your cafeteria funds. Located in Providence and the new Three Peaks Medical Plaza, North Logan. The entire staff, along with Dr. Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette, wish you a safe and wonderful holiday season. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including Select Med, are accepted.
Clean it up and get it out this fall.
Don't wait another winter. Let DD Auto and Salvage pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan want to pay you today. Search DD Auto and Salvage today or call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204.
See store for details.
Security. It's the most precious thing you can give your home, especially if it's guaranteed. No cheap locks, no weak keys, no inadequate hardware, just the expertise and precision and security. Beezer Lock and Key believes there's no place like a safe home, and no home safer than one secured by them. It may seem they only sell locks and keys, but what they really sell is peace of mind. Search Beezer Lock and Key or go to 4th North and 1st West and just add confidence. Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Guys, if you want, nay, if you need more tools and toys, then you must come to the fabulous estate sale of a former Utah State professor and his world-traveling family. This Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., Friday and Saturday 10 to 3 p.m., 1095 Windsor Drive in Logan. This 5-level home is full of high-quality furnishings, antiques, and collectibles. But there's a 2-car garage full of tools. That's right, tools. And a sailboat and a 1988 Subaru. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 1095 Windsor, Logan.
More info at Katydid Vintage Utah on Facebook.
This is Detective Ditzel with the Logan City Police. Law enforcement agencies are seeing a spike in vehicle thefts this year. A large majority of these crimes were due to unlocked doors and keys being left inside. We encourage citizens to protect themselves and make sure your vehicle is locked, the keys have been removed, and nothing of value has been left inside. Also, with colder temperatures here, don't leave your vehicle warming in the garage or driveway unattended. This is a prime opportunity for thieves. Don't become a victim.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan.
PSA, by the way, a little public service announcement.
Go ahead.
A little bit shortened show for us. We're going to have to duck out a little early. Utah Jazz.
Yeah, they're going to be, since we're talking about the Jazz, that's a good time to note that we'll be cutting off. Normally we dip out at about 5:56. Today we leave at about 5:47.
Yes.
So about 10 minutes lopped off the end of our show. But really quick, before getting to the Jazz, Utah State women's basketball in action tonight at the Spectrum. They're taking on Eastern Washington. That game tipped off about 25 minutes ago. Aggies currently trailing 17-14. It's been a bit back and forth. The Aggies shooting better in this game, but they have 6 turnovers, which is hurting them a little bit.
That's a lot early going.
Yeah.
If you do want to tune into that one, by the way, it is on local radio. It's on 107.7 FM, and our good friend Ajay Salveson on the call.
There we go. So looking at the Utah Jazz, they will be playing their first in-season tournament game tonight. The in-season tournament. The in-season. That's too many syllables, Eric. And just
INS. Just call it INS or the INS.
Yeah. Well, I've seen IST as an abbreviation for it.
Yeah, that's true. IST. Sorry.
Yeah, but there's not a good. When I saw, I think the Jazz used that abbreviation. I thought it was ish. Like there's something in it, and it made it read really weird for a second. So, oh, IST in-season tournament.
IST.
It's
like German.
So the in-season tournament begins for the Jazz. First games of that tournament played last week, but the Jazz didn't play their first one. They take on the Memphis Grizzlies. I forget what group the Jazz are in. It's like 5-team group, but they're in West Group, I don't know, C or D or something. I think it's Group D. But they're taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. These are the 2 worst teams in the NBA right now.
Wow, exciting television.
Yeah. So the 2-7 Jazz taking on the 1-7 Memphis Grizzlies. So it's just wonderful. These 2 teams have already played each other, and the last time they did, Jazz took it to the Grizzlies.
They did. They looked good.
Yeah, that's the best the Jazz have looked all year. Was that game, maybe against the Clippers. I think that those 2 games are 2 wins, and they looked kind of decent against the Nuggets at times. But like outside of that, they've looked pretty bad in almost every one of their games. So maybe a chance to get back on track. It's, I think, the end of the road trip. They're on a 4-game road trip, and I think this is the final one of that trip. So get back home after this, but maybe get yourself a win before you come back home. Get that 3rd win of the season, get the win in the in-season tournament. You're not playing on the ugliest court.
No, I was just looking it up. It's actually not that offensive.
Yeah,
it's mostly gray.
Yeah, it's just a gray court.
Darker gray down the middle, and with that grizzly bear in the center court. That's not a bad court.
Yeah, you can live with that.
Compared to some of the others we've seen.
You can probably watch a game on that and not have your eyes trying to murder you.
Like if you saw a game in New Orleans, for example.
Yeah, or unfortunately, it's probably one of the Jazz games coming up pretty soon here. I will probably deliberately not watch those games for the sake of not having my eyes burned out of their sockets, both by the play of the team and by the court. Just kidding. But this presumably will be the second chance or second opportunity for Keontae George to start at point guard. Had his first start in the most recent game, had 9 assists in that one. So taking on the role of playmaker, do you think he'll have another matchup like this? I don't believe Marcus Smart is injured for the Grizzlies, so he's going to have some tough defensive guards to go up against. You think he's able to have a repeat performance there? Or do you think maybe he gets more scoring in? I don't know. There's a lot that can happen with Keontae George and your rookie. Things can go up and down pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was the last outing for the Grizzlies was really ugly. It was bad. They haven't really been much better, but for Utah, they're trying to find something too. So it will be interesting to see how different Keontae George looks, how he runs the team, how effective he is. I mean, he had 9 assists last time. Wasn't very effective scoring, but at least he was doing the role that this coaching staff is trying to find in being a facilitator. So good to have another game where he can do that. And in this one, he probably will have a little bit more success scoring, not necessarily at will, but it will be interesting to see how Utah continues to adjust without Walker Kessler as well. That's the other big storyline, is what do those rotations look like? Will they be similar to their game in Indiana, or is it going to be a little bit different tonight?
Yeah, where they didn't really go any deeper with their center rotation. They just tightened it up to move John Collins to playing center, have Kelly Olynyk, and that's it.
Yeah, a few more minutes from Ochai, a few more minutes from Simone Fontecchio, and that was it.
Basically just moving some guys down the lineup card and rolling with that. So, yeah, I imagine they're probably going to keep to that. Maybe, Omar Yurtseven gets in. I imagine he gets it in at some point, just because you can't live on these guys playing so many minutes, especially because a lot of these guys are playing out of position for so many minutes. You got to give them and that's why you have these guys on the roster is for situations like these.
And you're on a road trip. You're playing against a bad team. Hopefully they can establish something early and get a dominant lead So some of these other stars can rest. By the way, Utah is in West A group. So Memphis, Phoenix, Lakers, and Trailblazers make up their group.
3 pretty crappy teams.
Besides the Jazz, of course.
Yeah, you got the Jazz, Trailblazers, and Grizzlies all pretty roughed up. Then Suns and Lakers not too bad, though.
Yeah, dialing it up for the Suns and the Lakers.
Yeah, those would be big ones. Maybe the Jazz can just really get up for this in-season tournament, maybe make a run, at least out of their group.
Yeah.
There's maybe an outside shot. But being 2-7, I wouldn't put too many hopes on that. But the kind of going back to Keontae George, one of the things that's really been missing for Keontae George, because he's been solid but not spectacular. And for a guy that the Jazz are placing a lot of expectations that he'll develop into basically point guard of the future, the thing that's been missing is, a single game like flash of brilliance. I mean, we saw early on, we see it from guys like Gordon Hayward and Donovan Mitchell, where early on, Mitchell ended up being spectacular pretty much his whole rookie season, but even Gordon Hayward early on, he would show those flashes. Haven't really seen that from Keontae George, and I want to see him, he doesn't have to suddenly break out and average 20 points per game. But I want to see that flash where he has a game where he scores 24 points. Maybe a game where he goes for 29. I don't need him to come out here averaging 17, 18, 19, 25 points per game. But I want to see those flashes of what we saw in Summer League where the scoring is real. It translates. We can see this guy go out there on an NBA court, go out there and dominate. We haven't seen that from Keontae George yet. His career high at this point is 12 points. And that's the only time he's been in double figures this entire year. He's been close in most cases. He's getting 7, 8, 9 in the 1 12-point game. But I'd like to see a breakout game at some point. Doesn't have to be tonight, but as he's moving into the starting lineup, I would think that in close order we're going to see one of these games where that potential gets shown.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'd be nice to see that. I'm not impatient in that. Just that he's the regular NBA skill and athleticism is so much different than the summer league. It's going to take a minute for him to fully grasp that. Plus, that's not really what the coaches are asking of him to do. Because there are other guys right now who can do that, especially at the guard position. What they're looking for is somebody who can initiate the offense and be somebody who can manage the team on the floor. So he's not really asked to play that role. So I'm not anxious about that yet. At some point in the season, I would like to see, can this guy figure out how to score at the NBA level? Because he's shown glimpses of it. I'd like to see if he really legitimately can. But right now, I have to give him credit for being willing to look. He's young enough. He's moldable enough that the coaches will say, "This is what we need you to do right now," and he's just trying to get minutes in an NBA court. And so far he's doing it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm impatient to see it, but we should at least start to see it somewhat soon. Because the thing is, people talk about how it's rough. It's hard to come in as a rookie in the NBA and perform well, but that's usually about the consistency and always being up to speed. Because veterans, they know how to come and perform day in, day out. And I feel like it's a little more common for players to start off slow and then speed up. I mean, Lauri Markkanen was kind of that, but even Lauri Markkanen showed, glimpses early on in his career. If you aren't showing any flashes early on in your career, that's a really bad sign. There aren't too many players who are just mediocre early on. And right now, that's kind of what Keontae George is. He's mediocre. He's been a bench player. He's just been elevated to starter. He's okay. But if he's just going to stay this way, then he's not going to take off. You need to show that potential. I know they're not asking him to go out there and be a scorer, but go out there.
If you're on the court, right, and you have an opportunity, take advantage of it.
And if you have the skills to do that, then the coaches should be asking him to do that. And I feel like at some point, again, like I said, I don't need him to go out there and just score a ton and be the guy. That'd be nice if he did that, but he's probably not going to. But go out there and have those flashes to where we can see, okay, this guy can develop into a scorer along with a facilitator. Be nice to see that. 9315, texting in on the Full Court Press text line. Says, your eye socket hurt after watching football in Boise. Never thought the NBA would be influenced by the Smurf turf. Yeah, that's just...
Boise, Eastern Washington, who was it? Coastal Carolina. I think there's a few others it's like, why? No, that's not football.
It's not. And there's this collective delusion, especially among Boise State fans, that they all convince themselves that they think it's cool.
Yeah. They just don't accept that that it's a mockery among everybody else.
Yeah, everyone else is making fun of them. They think it's iconic, but it's ugly.
Yeah, it's bad.
The Habsburg jaw is also iconic, but it's ugly.
Wow.
As is the Boise State field. Bit of history for you guys.
I was like, that's quite a reference right there.
All right, so going to take another break here. We're going to move on in the next segment. We'll finish up the show. As said earlier, we have an early exit on today's show. We're going to be jumping off in about 10 minutes here. We'll finish up the show talking about previewing Mountain West football. We haven't talked about Utah State football. We'll bring them up a little bit, but also talk about the other key matchups in Mountain West football weekend. That's all coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
It's that first kiss, that moment in time.
This is Jarek from Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Everyone knows us as an engagement ring store, but not everyone knows about everything else we do. Custom design, our in-house laser jewelry repair. We offer fashion jewelry, charm bracelets, necklaces, earrings, birthstone jewelry, watches. We love people to just look and make a wish list. Stop in and say hi.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Hello, I'm Garrett Tanner, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. With 20 years of banking experience, I strive to use my knowledge to help small businesses overcome any challenges they may face, no matter how complex. My customers are important to me, and I take a genuine interest in understanding their lives. Come visit me at our mall branch or give me a call. I'd love to get to know you and show you what opening an account at Cache Valley Bank can do for you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Holiday parties and events at the Riverwoods Conference Center offer a festive and fun holiday atmosphere. Paired with catering from Elements Restaurant, your special occasion can include tasty hors d'oeuvres, delicious entrees, and decadent desserts that always deliver excellence. Now accepting reservations for this holiday season. The Riverwoods Conference Center and Elements Restaurant easily accommodate large or small events. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-5151.
Stay safe and do it fast. We're always asked by customers if they need snow tires. Fact is, winter tires have the best traction when temperatures drop below 45 degrees. Snow tires offer better braking and cornering, and Ron Keller Tire has the data to prove it. If you're concerned about winter driving, let Ron Keller Tire keep you safe and do it fast. That's the Ron Keller Tire difference. Why wait?
Why wait? Ron Keller Tire.
Logan, Tremont, and Preston and Malad.
Why wait?
Sunday on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Longtime NFC East foes collide in Week 10 as the Dallas Cowboys host the New York Giants. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as the Cowboys look to bounce back with a divisional win. Can Prescott and Parsons get the Cowboys back on track, or will Saquon Barkley and the Giants play spoilers on the road? It's the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Kickoff is Sunday afternoon at 2:15 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Things are about to get started over on 104.5 The Ranch. You'll be able to listen to Ridgeline taking on Crimson Cliffs, major semifinal matchup in the 4A football playoffs. Dave Simmons, Nick Zollinger on the call there. Eric Frandsen's over trying to get that broadcast started. Get things connected, make sure everything's running smoothly. We are going to be finishing up the show here in this final third segment here in about 6 minutes. Early exit because you'll be able to hear in about 9 or 10 minutes the pregame for Utah Jazz taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. They're in the first in-season tournament game, Jazz on the road. Getting things started there. Two worst records in the NBA by these two teams, the Jazz and the Grizzlies. But wanted to close things off here on the Full Court Press, previewing the weekend that will be in Mountain West football. I believe every team is in action, or maybe I think it is every team. Yeah, they're all in action. We've all gotten through the byes for everybody. Now, the first game in the Mountain West lineup actually tonight on FS1, late kick. Mountain time is 8:45 p.m. That's a heck of a late start time. It'll be Wyoming taking on UNLV, probably one of the best matchups of the week in terms, record going against record. Two teams fighting, they're on the outside looking in to potentially getting in the Mountain West Championship game. The two front runners for that right now are Air Force and Fresno State. Air Force undefeated in Mountain West play. Fresno State 4-1, and UNLV is also 4-1. So UNLV really looking to try and get that one of those spots in the Mountain West Championship game. Wyoming, they're more on the outside looking in. They're 3-2. Both teams are bowl eligible, but they're playing for higher stakes here. If they can get some help, they can perhaps get into the title game. So big matchup there. UNLV kind of proving, even though it lost to Fresno State earlier, that's why they're on the outside looking in. Is they've lost to one of the teams that's a front runner at the moment. But UNLV proven that it wasn't just a product of a fairly easy schedule. They did lose, but they were competitive in that game. Now this will be another big test for UNLV. Wyoming, they've kind of stumbled over most of the hurdles they've faced so far this year. They lost to Texas, lost to Air Force, lost to Boise State. I mean, they did beat Fresno State. That's the one hurdle they didn't stumble over. But lost a couple of other really big matchups for them. Looked like they were primed to make the title game themselves, but again, losses to Air Force and Fresno State kind of seized that up. So that's a big matchup. The loser of that game probably gets booted out of the Mountain West title race. The winner still in it, especially UNLV there. So got that going there. So, and here Eric Frandsen comes back in. Smooth transition.
Hey, hi.
Previewing, just looking at the Mountain West matchups to talk about UNLV and Wyoming. Probably the biggest matchup, just because those are two of your top four teams in the conference going against each other.
Yeah, it's a big one. And there were, as we talked about earlier in the year, we wondered if UNLV was really legit. And folks in Laramie are wondering the same thing this week from things that I've been reading. And they've got 7 wins, but collectively the teams that they've beaten only have 13, 14 wins on the year. And that is true, but UNLV has played pretty good football still as of late. And they pushed Fresno State to the wire. And Fresno State's a good team. So, yeah, they've beaten a lot of bad teams. They've done what they're supposed to do in that case. But this will be a really good test to see how much they've come along. Wyoming's had some games where they looked really good, and then they have faltered. They're trying to get back on track. But this game in Las Vegas Friday night, tonight, 8:45, a late one.
Yeah, pretty late
on
there.
FS1, and UNLV's favored by 3.
Yeah, I think they probably should be. I'd probably pick UNLV. I've been more inclined to believe them, in the last 2 weeks. Believe that they're at least a good team. I don't know if they're a great team, but I think that they're certainly a good team. Other matchups going on, you've got San Diego State taking on Colorado State, pair of 3-6 team, identical records, 3-6 overall, 1-4 in Mountain West play. So, yeah, there's that. That's happening.
Well, kind of similar to what we talked about what could happen the week prior when Utah State faced San Diego State. Two teams with kind of similar records, trying to figure a few things out. Colorado State is, man, what a roller coaster of a season for the Rams.
Yeah, definitely.
But Colorado State is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, these teams last gasp for bowl eligibility. These teams need to go undefeated the rest of the way to get into a bowl game. I don't know if it happens for either, but those hopes begin on Saturday for either team. New Mexico taking on Boise State. Boise State stumbling last week. Thought maybe they were going to reestablish themselves as, maybe poor overall record, but still dominant in the Mountain West, and that didn't happen.
Announced that Madsen will be the starting quarterback on Saturday, but they expect both quarterbacks to play.
Yeah, 2-quarterback system. That's a mistake. Other matchups, Fresno State taking on San Jose State. It'll be interesting. San Jose State's shown to be a pretty solid team, 4-5. Maybe they push Fresno State. We'll see how this goes.
They're favored by 2.5.
Yeah, it's in San Jose, so that's certainly interesting there. And then Air Force Hawaii, that's probably going to be the most boring game. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Keep listening. You'll hear Utah Jazz going up against the Memphis Grizzlies.